Can anybody help us with that?
Okay, let me go.
Thank you.
Nigeria, we will be our own dear native land. Though tribe and tongue may differ, in brotherhood we stand. Nigerians all are proud to serve our sovereign motherland.
Oh, all right, all right. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. Thank you. So we'll be moving to the safety briefing. So, Rebecca, are you on the call? Rebecca. Hello, Rebecca, are you there? Okay, it seems our network has knocked her out. So I'll be taking the safety briefing, which is quite short. So here is it. You mute your
I'm here.
mic when not speaking. Okay, you are there. Oh, thank you very much. You can take it now. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Okay. So we'll take our safety precautions. The first thing we have to do once we join a call is to make sure that our mics are not speaking. So everybody will mute their mic. So just in case your mic is not muted right now, just check it, also check your video and know if they are muted. And you're only permitted to unmute your mic when you have something to share, or when you have a question, or when you are permitted to speak. Yes. So raise your hand up to speak. So when you need to say something, is more orderly if we raise our hands to be granted permission. So the next one says, use the chat button, see for comments, and queue for questions. Also, ensure that you can still hear fire alarm with your headset. So yes, if you are joining with a headset, also make sure you can still hear fire alarm in case you are in an environment that needs you to be taking precautions of all these things. So also be at alert and aware of your environment. So be at alert and be aware of your environment for other accidents or maybe any other thing that you need to take precaution of. Then we also have always stay safe. Finally, maintain a good sitting posture. So while you are attending to this meeting, maintain a good posture at work, at office, at school, wherever you are. Always try to maintain a good sitting posture. So most importantly for this meeting, please let's maintain a good sitting posture. Thank you very much. Aisha, please you can go ahead.
Okay, thank you so much, Rebecca. I really appreciate that. So next on, before we move to the next agenda, so kindly check the chat box now. A group chat link is actually sent there. So that is actually your class group link. So ensure if your network actually knock you out, and by the time you come back online, ensure to check the chat box if you are here to join the group. So we have introduction of Lecture Hub. Lecture Hub is actually an e-learning platform that aims to revolutionize the way knowledge is shared in the oil and gas industry. Our platform actually brings together lectures, courses, and educational resources from industry experts, which actually make it easier for professionals to expand their knowledge and also enhance their career. In Lecture Hub, we actually understand the importance of continuous learning in a rapidly evolving industry, and that is why we are committed to providing the most up-to-date and relevant content to our users. So whether you are a beginner looking to enter the industry or an experienced professional seeking to enhance your skills, Lecture Hub is here for you. We are here to support your learning journey and process. We are also a CAC registered company, and above is actually our RC number. So, without wasting much of our time, I'll be introducing our speaker. His name is actually Okon Divine, though this is not his bio, though I'll be reading it from my phone here. So we have Mr. Okon Divine. Okon Divine is a passionate data geoscientist with over 6 years of IT experience spanning data engineering, machine learning, and analytics. He is also skilled in Python, R software, JavaScript, SQL, Linux or Bash, and also graph databases. Mr. Okon has built end-to-end machine learning solutions using NLP, neutral networks, and agentic AI workflows. He also has expertise in RAG systems, LangChain, Olama, and ChromaDB. He has mentored over 500 students in data science and cyber security. So that is the bio of Mr. Okon Divine, which is our mentor for this amazing mentorship program. So moving on, we have the rules and regulation of Lecture Hub for this mentorship program. So we have the rules and regulations. Among the rules and regulations we have for this 4 weeks mentorship program is attendance. Try to see my screen. Please, if you are not speaking, kindly
30
mute your
seconds.
mic.
See your
Please, if you are not speaking, kindly mute your mic. Thank you. So, one of the most important rules and regulations for this mentorship program is actually attendance. Attendance is mandatory for all sections, and more than two unexcused as absence may actually lead to dismissal. So, this is actually said that before you actually before you actually miss any class, make sure you take permission because attendance is very, very, very important for this mentorship program. And if you don't want to inform your mentor, you can inform your section moderator. There's a moderator for this for your mentorship program, which is actually Ugochi Mary. She will introduce herself later during the class tonight. So another one we have here is respect and inclusion. There is zero tolerance for harassment or discrimination. Ensure to maintain a respectful and ensure to maintain a respectful atmosphere. So we have confidentiality. Do not share private information without permission. Respect mentor and mentee privacy. So another rules we actually have here is academic integrity. No plagiarism or misrepresentation. Always submit original work. When assignment is given to you, ensure to do it on your own and avoid plagiarism. So we have no personal promotion. No mentee is actually allowed to market unrelated services or products. You have to ensure the section is you have to ensure the section is professional, and there's also no use of channels. You have to stick to approved platforms for communication. Avoid sharing links or materials. And lastly, be goal oriented. For this 4 weeks mentorship program, ensure to stay focused on learning and development and also use your mentor support wisely. So, moving to the next agenda, we have expectations and responsibilities of all mentees. One, we have the active participation. All mentees are expected to attend all sections. Just like I said earlier, if you won't attend, you seek permission. You are expected to attend all sections, workshops, and project check-ins, and also engage in discussion. Secondly, we have the self-driven learning, which is set personal learning goals for yourself. Also embrace feedback and apply it. Then we have the professional conduct. Show respect to mentors and peers, which are your mentees, like your others, and also maintain a collaborative and inclusive learning journey. Also, we have timely delivery, which is ensure you submit tasks and project work on time. If it is stated that you are meant to submit your assignment by 5 o'clock, then it is 5 o'clock. Ensure to keep to time and also communicate early if you are facing any challenge. So lastly, we have clear communication. Use official channels like WhatsApp, Google Meeting, email to respond promptly. So also represents the program well, embody the values of lecture up and demonstrate professionalism. So that will be all for now. So that is actually the expectations and responsibilities of all mentees for this 4 week program. So if you have any question and answer, I would love to take that. Can anybody hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
I
we
can hear.
can see that.
Okay, so if there is any question and answer concerning the mentorship program or you find anything confusing, please kindly speak up now and it will be attended to. Okay, I would love to inform you all that your introductory class actually starts today and it is by 8 p.m. So immediately we are done with this onboarding section, you all are moving to your class by 8 p.m. The mentor is actually ready for you, and I believe you are well ready for this 4 weeks journey. So do you have any question from any mentee?
Hello, Aishat.
Yeah, hello.
Good
Hello,
evening.
Joshua.
Yes, please, I think, I believe questions will arise as we proceed further. Maybe for now, since nobody is responding, maybe for now, we are still, hopeful and waiting to learn and raise questions from it.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Joshua. So once again, we are happy to have you all on board. You're welcome, and we wish you an effective and a fruitful journey in this mentorship program. Thank you so much. So please, once again, the group link will be sent on the chat box. So kindly stay online and ensure to join the group chat. So kindly stay online. No one is actually allowed to leave this call because your mentor is going to join you exactly by 8 p.m. So you are meant to join the group chat. Anyone that doesn't join the group chat will automatically be dismissed from the class. So please, this is actually like a warning right now. Join the group chat once the link is sent. Anyone that doesn't join will automatically be dismissed from the class. Also ensure to stay on the call till 8 p.m. Our mentor will join us soon. Thank you. Also, everyone is meant to drop their names on the chat box. Your full name, please.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Kindly confirm you can hear me.
Good evening, ma. We can hear you, ma.
Okay. So, good evening, everyone. I'm Pedro Gulaga, and it's a beautiful thing to welcome you all to the data science class for reservoir characterization. So, this class was specifically for 2 months, and we had to extend it because we wanted to make sure that the service we are giving to students, young professionals, even professionals, are what will scale them through, not what they won't be able to defend. So we needed to extend the class to further improve how the understanding for a particular subject matter is being discussed. So that was why we had to do the extension. Then we make it open again because we wanted to reach out to more people. And it was more of the idea of the mentor. So the mentor is Mr. Divine Okon, is from the United Kingdom, and it will be the one to mentor every mentee for this particular class. So we also observed that we had a lot of beginners uh, compared to intermediate and grades. We had to categorize it that way so we know the team we are giving priority. So we did not pick most of the beginners because this class is more like should I say semi-advanced class. Reservoir characterization, for you to have applied for this mentoring session, you must have gotten to understand that, okay, you know a little bit of Python programming, coding, you know a little bit of geological features using the Python, and that was why that I think that is why you already applied for this mentoring. So it's not more like a beginner's class; it's more like an intermediate to an advanced class. And for this class to be very, very effective, we made sure that there are some strict rules and responsibilities to all mentees. So for some of the mentees that were part of the session for the past 2 months, they are still on this call, but we would not we will not hesitate to take out anybody that is not willing to go through this class, because we know what we are putting on the line for a session like this. So we will not hesitate to take anybody, I mean anybody, out of this class if the person is not paying attention, the person is not submitting assignment, the person is not attending classes, the person is not like, we won't hesitate to do that. So for now, we made this the first requirement for you to be accepted, which is the onboarding. We sent the info to about 45 applicants, and currently on the call, minus my team, we should be counting 18. So that is a good one. Now we have screened down the applicant from 45 to 18, and we'll be very strict with the next few weeks. So thank you very much for joining, and I hope this really benefits you, and it's also add to your career goal or professional goal in the future. And I think the mentor is already on the call. Let me confirm. Okay, he's here to join the call. However, I will hand over to Mary Jane. Mary Jane will be the moderator of this class. So then there is a WhatsApp group link that has been shared on the comments, on the chat box. Please join the group, because that is where we will share most of the information with. And the group will be locked after this meeting. After this meeting, nobody is able to join any of our groups again. Then for this attendance, please, we need the attendance because we also use it for the compilation of attendees' performance, and how they are maybe taking or making the best use of this class. Then to reinstate, the class is every Saturday by 8 p.m. Every Saturday by 8 p.m. So please plan accordingly with your schedule. Plan accordingly. Then for the classes, the recordings are not made available immediately after class, except the YouTube recording or the YouTube live session. However, the recordings are only made available at the end of our mentoring session. So if peradventure you had an issue with your network and you need to access the recording for the time being, you can always go to our YouTube page to get the recording for that particular session, and you practice what you've been taught. So good evening, everyone, once again. For those joining us from Ghana, Indonesia, which other country? I think India and one other country. I hope the time zone is kind of friendly with you. Okay, we have our mentor here on the call now. So I will hand over to Mary Jane. Mary Jane, kindly do the introduction of your mentor, and let's begin with the introductory class for today. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you so much, Mafejiro. Good evening, everyone. So my name is Uwanyugochi Mary Jane. I'm the moderator for our mentorship class, data science for reservoir characterization. So Mafejiro has already said everything, and I believe all of us are going to really participate. Like, we are going to show our interest, although we have already shown interest by applying for it. So I encourage everybody to fully participate, be an active participant, and enjoy your class, and also be there on time. Take your attendance serious, the assignment and all of that. Remember that mentorship class is going to be certified. So if you don't partake in all of the things that she has listed, remember that we are not going to give you any certificate. So it's very, very important that you also learn for yourself. For you to apply, it shows that you have interest and you really want to grow. So yeah, take the opportunity, because it's a free class. Take the opportunity and participate well. So I'll be welcoming our mentor, Mr. Divine Okon. He's already on the call. So I'll be leaving the floor open for him to take over. I would have loved us to do introduction, but since we don't have time, so let's get to the business of the day. And you are welcome once again. Thank you. Sir Divine, please, you can go ahead, sir.
Can anybody hear me?
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
Okay. So how's it been? I think I'll need replies at least a couple of people. My name is Divine. I'm sure we've met before. So I pretty much understand how it has been, especially with we having to do this again. The last time, one of the challenges we had was the fact that most of you didn't have programming experiences, and it was really difficult to actually pass that knowledge. So what I'm suggesting is I'll try to see how I could focus on the basics. If you don't have a working computer, it's going to be difficult for you to learn, because I want you to do exactly what I'm doing. So I'm going to start with asking a couple of questions. The first one is, how many of you have VS Code installed on your computer? And also, if you know how to set up a virtual environment. If you can do that, just yes put a yes on the chat, so I can know. Just yes on the chat if you could set up a virtual environment, and if you have VS Code installed on your computer. So yes, that's if you could just put yes, so I could know on the chat. Just yes on the chat. VS Code set up virtual environment. No, okay. Who next? Yes, I have VS Code. Can you set up a virtual environment? Yeah, VS Code same as Anaconda. Yeah, you can do that. Yeah, that's fair. Okay. Yes, Jupyter Notebook. Okay. For the sake of this class, just to make things move faster. The last time we did a lot on VS Code. So in this class, we're gonna do VS Code, but someone said I have Anaconda, I have Jupyter Notebook. Okay, so I'm gonna spend my time explaining it. Let me come down here, introduction. So I'm going to spend my time explaining. So I could see people talking about Jupyter Notebook. Someone said VS Code. Why is that important? VS Code. And someone said Anaconda. So I'm just going to put them in classes so we could understand Anaconda. Okay, so I'm going to start with explaining. So there's what we call IDEs. IDEs, and it stands for what we call Integrated Developers Environment. Pretty much, the way computer works is computer only understand zeros and one. So, and for we to be able to communicate with, the computer in terms of 0 and 1, programmers built languages, So we divided those languages into low level, high level languages. Python is a high level language, unfortunately. So I didn't spell introduction properly. And this for me to be able to, usually we can actually run those languages on, like we could write these languages on the shell. If we want to, we can write this stuff on a text file if we want to. So I could decide to create a text file and call that text file .py, and I can still run it provided my syntax is correct. So, but the problem with running those codes on text files was the fact that, we have problems with syntaxes. Now, the point is sometimes you can have a bug and the bug might just be a syntax bug. And you start, instead of focusing on logic, you're focusing on syntax. So what happens is IDs like this came up, so that they could actually help us, with actually pinpointing all those small syntax errors. You could see now I'm writing something like this. It's underlining that, okay, see, you're writing a text in a coding environment. So obviously I know there's a problem somewhere. Now, but if I'm doing this in a text file, I won't be able to actually see this, everything until I compile it. That's when I'll start seeing errors and I'll start looking for the errors, and that's a problem. So IDs are important, kind of, at least for you guys, they're really important, and it's going to be what we're going to be using. So an example of an IDE is a PyCharm. VS Code is an IDE. A Jupyter Notebook, yes, is an IDE. Yeah, true. Now, Anaconda on its own, Jupyter Notebook is not, I think, Jupyter, yeah, I can say it's an IDE, yes. Because at the end of the day, it runs on Anaconda. Anaconda, it's like a platform that basically that could actually help you. You have lots of tools you could actually use. Example of one of them is Jupyter Notebook. So Anaconda is just like a platform. So I don't know why they called it snakes, like Python, Jupyter, Anaconda, Python, Anaconda. Like, it's really funny. Now, but for a class, I prefer using. So what I'm doing here, what I usually do is, because I like VS Code. So what I'm doing is I'm running VS Code. Then I'm using Anaconda in the kernel basically to actually run, my Python. Now, don't get me wrong, the trick is basically simple. This is still Python I'm running technically, but because of the linting effect, I want it in such a way that if I write code, I could actually create code blocks like this so that I can run my code. This effect, you can only find it in Jupyter, like on the notebook, Jupyter Notebook. So what I'm doing is I'm using Jupyter, Jupyter and Jupyter Notebook are different things. So I could on Jupyter Notebook, basically, I use Jupyter, but here I have to download Jupyter, to actually be able to actually get this linting effect. So everything is built on Python, so it makes life easy. So I don't have to do lots of things. So for this class, what I usually tell you guys to do is basically simple. Even if you're a software engineer, even if you're a data scientist, even if you're a data engineer, one thing is certain: you're going to be, whatever models you build, you're going to push them to production. And if you're going to be doing that, it simply means you're going to be depending on other dependencies. An example of that is you're going to be downloading libraries, you've been using them. So, and because when you want to push them to production, what happens is you have to take these libraries you've downloaded too, That's how you push everything into production. And one way to master those skills, like containerizing those stuff, is using virtual environment. Now, virtual environment helps you set up, a small environment where you could actually, every dependency you download, you can use within that environment. So you don't have to download the dependency and it's used all over your computer. Like rather it's used in that environment you've created, so that if there's a problem with those dependencies, or maybe there's you downloaded the wrong dependency that has, that is a threat, that has virus, what happens is you could actually just delete the entire container and it doesn't affect your system. So for security reasons, it's actually really good, and also too, basically, it helps you, just containerize your application. And as you go further, you're going to learn about containers. You're going to see why it's really important to actually create virtual environment, because what I can do in a virtual environment, I can do it in a container, I can do it in Docker. But that's not the point. The point is a virtual environment helps you because it just adds an extra layer of security for you and basically makes it more efficient for you to write code. So we can decide to argue the best IDEs we can actually use to develop or for this course. For ease, I can just go to Google Colab and use Google Colab, but you won't be learning anything, because one of the biggest bottleneck when it comes to development is basically setting up your environment. So I could just open the Google Colab environment and we start writing codes, but most of the problems are not even in code writing. The problem is setting up environment, communicating with your environment, pulling information. And when I do that, it simply means I'll be importing data into those Colab folders. So each time I have to run my script on that on Colab, I have to import data to my machine, or I have to connect my data. I have to connect data to my Google Drive, and that is a long process. So what I advise you to do is basically, we're going to set up like we've done it before. If you can use Jupyter, no problem. Jupyter is easy for you. It simply means you're operating within it's within your computer, so you can access your data easily. If you want to use Colab, no problem. If you provide anything that makes you learn faster, but for me, I advise you to actually use VS Code and create a virtual environment and run your VS Code. Here, the virtual environment I created for you guys was called, I created a virtual environment here, and I called it, I think, Lecture Hub. And that's the one we're using for this course the last time we started. And I can notice we have more numbers here. It simply means I have to repeat the process. So to create a virtual environment is simple. So let me see if I can minimize my screen and try doing it here. So if I were you, I've started the class. So if I were you, I want to create a virtual environment, how would I approach that problem? Sorry. 1 minute. Let me just share my screen properly. Okay. Can you see my screen? What are you seeing on my screen? Let me be sure. Can you see Netflix on my screen? Someone should say something now. I feel I'm talking to myself.
Yes, sir.
Netflix, that's what you're seeing?
Yes, sir.
Netflix?
Yeah, we are seeing your wallpaper now.
Yes, your screen is visible to us.
Okay. I thought you said you're seeing Netflix. I was on my chat.
No.
Okay. So what I'm gonna do here is basically try to, what am I doing? So I'm gonna call this, let's call this Lecture Hub class. That's what I'm gonna call it, right? Simple. Now I've created my folder, Lecture Hub class. So if I were you, how many of you know how to use like you've actually used your terminal before? How many of you know how to use your terminal? Like you've actually used your terminal before? Just say something.
On
Your Windows. Yeah, no. Terminal on your Windows machine if you're using one.
Yes. Wait.
How many of you have Python installed? How many of you have Python installed so that I can know what we're doing?
I don't have it installed, sir.
Okay. So for you to install Python now, you have to go just open your browser. Sorry, someone has a question. Open your browser, just type download Python, and you're going to say Python. Pick any version and install it. And that's it. Let me make this easy for me.
Okay, so someone is asking, what
Yeah.
if we have anaconda?
That's fine. That's fine. If you're good with anaconda, that's fine. I could just move over with anaconda. If you're good, it's fine. I'm just doing this. So, okay, I'm going to ask a question. Do we all have an environment where you could actually write Python codes? Do you have that? I just want to see yes. The people that don't have it, just say no on the chat.
Yes, sir.
Everybody has, okay, someone said no. Who is the person saying no? The person saying no looks like someone that has been in this class before. So I have more yeses. So the person saying no, like the last class, were you able to, you're not able to install it at all?
Hello, Favor, please, can you unmute and maybe
Favor, speak.
speak out?
Let's so that we can know what we're doing.
Also, I thought you were asking about you asked about Python. I agreed. It was when you said if we created a visual environment. I think that's why I replied.
Okay. No, apart from forget about the virtual environment now. Do you have any idea at all you could write? You could write Python, like you can write Python and run it.
Okay, now I get
Jupyter, Jupyter, VS Code, PyCharm. Do you have any environment? Do you have any environment that you can run Python, at least for the first class, so that we don't go through the boring phase of opening terminals and going through that phase? Do you have it?
Yes, sir.
That means you could create a Python notebook and you write hello world and it runs.
Yes, sir.
Okay, we're going to try it now. So let's see if what you're telling me is the truth. So if you have it, then just print hello world. And if it doesn't run, just know that there's something wrong with your. So you could see print, mine will run easily because everything is installed in the environment. So if yours is not running, there's a problem somewhere. So see, easy. Mine is running. So can everybody do this on your own? Like you print hello world and it's running on your machine. If your answer is no, say no, don't worry, don't be scared. I can see yes. If your answer is no, please say no. Okay, Akindoye Joseph, what do you think the problem is? Is it that you haven't installed anything before, or this is your first time using it? No, speak to me, unmute and speak, because that's the way.
Okay. Hello, sir. Can you hear me, sir?
I can hear you, please.
Okay, so I have Visual Studio Code installed,
Yeah,
but I actually don't know how to go about it.
Okay, good. So VS Code is just an IDE, so you need an interpreter, and for you to do that, you have to download Python. So Python is an interpreter that helps you. Python is the main thing. It's basically what talks to the, that talks to the machine language, that helps you interpret the entire code. It does everything for you, interpret and compile. So go to your open your browser and type download Python. Can you do that quickly? Just open your browser and type download Python and see what happens. Yeah. So Akindele Joseph, any luck with the download of Python, or should I show you how it's been done? Any other person having the same issues, you're not able to run a simple command on your Jupyter notebook? Because if you can't do that, we can't move further. Everything we're going to be talking will be theory. Like we can't basically move further because today we're going to spend time understanding fundamental data structures. Okay, so apart from Akinde, Joseph, every other person basically could run Hello World, right? Let me see on the chat. I'm looking at the chat. I want to see. Yes. Apart from Akinde, Joseph, every other person can run a simple Hello World, yeah? Yes. Okay. Thank God you guys are the ones saying yes. So we're going to start by defining what we're going to learn. So the first thing first is we're going to start with data types, just to understand the basics. So everything will be done with examples. So I won't give it won't be verbose examples. It's just be simple examples. We're going to look at lists. We're going to look at key things like dictionaries, sets, and tuples. We're going to look at, cool stuff like, functions, and we're going to look at exciting things like data frames. And these are basically the key things you need to know. Like, forget about OOP. I think you could actually learn that on your own, which is classes. So you don't have to think about that for now. For now, just focus on these ones. Yeah, I forgot to add important one, conditionals and for-loops. Conditionals and for-loops. So forget about everything you need to actually play around with data falls within this range. So if you can master this stuff, solve a lot of problem around them, at least you're good to go. So every other thing would be basically clean up your code, writing them in a more structured format, and working around with stuff. But for now, we don't care about the structured format. What we want to do is move data from point A to point B. What we want to do is basically get insight from data. And what we want to do is basically, analyze it as we can. Just cut, join as much as we can. So I think this could actually help us. So when we say data types, it's actually quite simple, all you have to do is basically understand this key thing. So if I do type and I see hello, Python tells me what data type this is. It tells me it's a string. This is really important because sometimes you're going to have errors when you're dealing with data. And the problem might just be the fact that, the data type was not converted. So Python could not perform a particular operation on that particular data type. So you have to know how to check for the data type. So if I'm to define this stuff, which is not really important, I'll just tell you, this is how, Python sees, or how will I say this, how, what's it called, the computer understand input. So for example, it doesn't understand input to give to it. So if you tell it is string, it treats it like a string. If you tell it is a number, it treats it like a number. But sometimes there are ways we could work around those processes. So for example, if I say, joy. So now this is basically me storing joy in A. So this thing is called a variable. So a variable basically is just something that stores a data type. So this is joy, and I tell it to print joy, and joy is fine. Print A, it prints joy. But now, if I tell it joy plus 5, now this operation looks stupid because Python will be like, what are you saying? What are you saying? I can't walk around a string and a different type of data type. And to prove that, all I have to do is say type here, type joy, and I say type 5. I'm not printing it, don't worry. And even if I do, Python will not do anything about it. So let me see if I put a comma. So Python tells me that, see, you're dealing with a string and also to an integer. So what are you trying to do? You can't add a string and integer together. And it makes sense because that wouldn't work. So sometimes you have a data frame, and an integer is hidden inside the data frame, and you're trying to clean it because you think it's a string. You can't see something inside. So what we do is basically, we try to convert one data type to another, when dealing with certain columns. Forget about the complicated explanation. Can you guys hear me? I think it's breaking.
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Yes, can hear you.
Okay, good. So now we have different types of data types. So we have the following. So we have strings, we have integer, and floats. So I just call this floats. What am I saying? Floats. I call this, just call it numbers so that it's easier for us. Then I think these are the cool ones. I think string, integer, and float. These are the cool ones we need to know. So what is string? Number? Yeah, we have booleans. I forgot to add the cool one, which is yes and no. Booleans. So string, integer, and float. These are the cool one you need to know. And what it simply means is this is just words. That's how I was taught the first time. This is basically whole numbers. Why this is fractions and decimals. Why this is yes or no, true or false. True or false, basically. That's how you understand it. It's easy. Now, what does this really mean for me? Now, it means this. What if I have B and it's equal to 5, and I say 5 plus 5. Now, do you think there's a problem here? And I tell it print B. And what happens? So the same thing, you can't do this, because anytime you put something inside a string, what happens? Python sees it as a string. Now, for we to solve this problem, simply, you tell Python, okay, remove, or you can write a code to actually remove or you can just remove this guy. But when you're dealing with large data, it's a problem because you can't actually find where this guy is. So will you go to each of the cells and start removing them before you could actually do, maybe before you can actually push this data or basically perform any calculations? That's a problem. So for this class, I'll be introducing you with things we actually use, when we're dealing with something like this. There's something we call AST. It's basically a cool library that actually helps us. Instead of writing a lot of functions, I could just import AST. And I could do AST dot, I think, literal eval. And if I tell Python 5, now can you see? And I tell it, let me call this, let me put a print here. And I tell Python, young man, this is 5. What would this give me? It's printing this as 5. Now, if I put type, let me put here, let me call this B. And if I put here, print the type of this guy, the type of B, what do you think this would give to us? It will tell us this is an integer. Now, but this doesn't make sense because this is a string. So if I come here and say C is equal to 5, and I tell Python print both of them. So I come down here and I print this guy, I print C, and notice one of them will tell us one is a string and one is an integer. Now you could see one is a string, one is an integer. So what do you think is happening here? This is actually a string. But the problem is me and you know that this guy is an integer, or I want to use an integer. So now if I do C is equal to 5, and I come here and I say C plus 10. Now Python can easily, and I tell it to print B. And I tell it to print B, just for it to give me the answer for B. So what do you think it will give to me? It's telling me B is 15. Now, but usually what happens before? It throws an error to tell us that, okay, this C is, remember this guy? Remember this guy? If I run this guy, what happens here? So you could see how so what's literal eval? What do I mean by evaluate it literally? What does this implement? You're simply telling Python, see, I understand that, I must have stored a variable wrongly, an integer that was stored wrongly. Look at that variable. Remember what I said a variable is? A variable is basically a container that holds data type. So if I say A is equal to Suzanne, B is equal to 5, D is equal to, true, X is equal to false, Z is equal to 5.5. Provided I'm storing a data type, what happens? All those stuff I'm using to store the data type is called a variable. So the trick is simple. Each time you're using literal eval, you're telling Python, I know I must have mistakenly stored a variable wrongly. Maybe 5 was supposed to be an integer, and now it is being stored as a string, maybe because of the way, my data is being stored in that data frame. Please, in that particular data frame, take this for loop, go through the entire data. any data that is basically meant to be a string, make it a string. Anyone that's actually meant to be an integer, make it an integer. Thank you very much. So what happens here is Python comes here and say, okay, literally this is supposed to be 5. Okay, let's make it 5. It's 5. It is. That's what it is. So Python sees that 5 and makes it 5, and simple as that. So this guy will save your life a lot of times. He saves my life every day. So take note of this guy, AST.retriever. It will help you run through, like you could put it inside a for loop and run through sets of list of data, just basically to use the literal, to evaluate the data literally. So this guy is key. Now, the second thing I want you to know, you could see that, you can't mess around with two types of, like, you have two different types of data types. Yeah. Olayemi, please say something.
All right, so I just want to get the other part correctly. So Adibi, I want to work with a string.
No,
and
string can't work because you can't save string in another way. If you save something like Jane, it's already an error. You can't save string in another way. String must be a string. So if you put a string in the literal eval, what happens? It throws an error. Are you getting me? For example, if I pick this guy, yeah, another person raised their hands. Can you say something? If I pick this guy, let's say, and I come here, let me call this D as Jane. And I use the literal eval for this guy. What happens? He throws a massive error. He just tells you, come on. What it's telling you here, you should know better. Come on. That's what it's simply trying to tell you. So if I put D here and I print D. So what happens here? You see, it throws an error. You should know better. We can't convert this. A string is a string. Are you getting me? And also too, we can't store strings like this. It doesn't make sense. Are you getting me? So
I think.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I have you have a question?
Okay.
Yeah, please ask your question, please. Yeah.
It's not a question. Like, you did print D. You're not supposed to do print
Yeah,
B.
sorry. B, yeah. Yeah, it's still the same thing. Error.
Okay.
Yeah. But if I print yeah. If I print D, it will still give me Jane. Where's my D?
Can you zoom your screen?
You can't see my screen? Is someone asking a question?
Zoom it, like zoom, so we can see clearly.
Okay, man.
No, I just want you to zoom the screen so we can see clearly.
Okay, what can you see in my screen? Is it zoomed enough? Can you see my screen properly?
Yes, we can. We can.
What can you see? What can you see on my screen?
Yeah, I'm seeing the.
Yeah. Okay. This is good. This is good. Yes.
Okay, so someone is asking a question on the group. He said, "Is literal eval as like the same thing as casting?" No, sir. In older programming language, we used to use what they call typecasting, where you practically define the data type. You can use integer, string, and float to explicitly define the data type. Languages like C, but in Python, you don't have to do that. So typecasting on one of the things Python took away. Are you getting me? So it's not literally the same as casting, so.
All right, sir. So before moving forward, just a follow-up to the question I asked earlier.
Yeah,
so now, Jane stores a string. Obviously, literal eval cannot work on it. So it's basically maybe an integer stores a string that literal eval can work on.
Let's try something.
Is that correct, sir?
Let's try something else. Let's try another data type. Okay. So let's try a Boolean, properly stored Boolean. So I do true. Are you getting me? So this is a Boolean, true. This is how you write through. Let's see what happened here and see what retrieval tells you. So you can see it works on Boolean. Are you getting me? Normally, if I come here and say, what's the type of this guy? It's going to tell you it's a Boolean if everything works properly. Can you see? A Boolean. But if I print it normally and I say just the type of D, it's going to tell you type of D originally was a string, but with literal eval it becomes what? A Boolean. Can you see what's happening here?
Yes,
Okay,
yes,
so
I can see it.
So can we,
All right, thank you.
oh, yeah, that's fine. So just moving forward. So we're looking at data types. So the truth is, as you walk through data types, you're going to understand them better, So another thing you need to learn is basically every data type has what they call their methods. I'm sure we have different types of string methods, but the truth is you just need to understand it. If you understand it, you could write complicated codes. You have a lot of assistance to help you, but you need to understand what you're doing. So, and when we say methods are just functions, inbuilt functions built in Python that could actually help you, manipulate data types. For example, if I do len is just a function, right? This can work both in an array and a string. So it's a multiple method. So for a string, if I do len and I do something like this, len Jane, what happened? It tells me the number is 4, right? And if I come down here and do len, forget about the second example, and I say Jane, I don't know, I'm using Jane here. Maybe I'll meet Hassan. Josh, and false. Now, a different result appears. So if I print this, if I print the first one, and I print the second one. So you could see how this works. So this second one gives you 3. So you could see that len works for both of them. So here, the first one, it counts the string. This other one, because it's inside a different data type, it counts the data type, the values of the objects inside the data type independently. So 1, 2, 3. I'll teach you indexing. I'm going to show you how it works so you can understand that better. But for now, just understand that. So this is simple. So we have one of the coolest method you're going to use, and don't forget, you're going to use things called join, very important. You're going to use things called split, very important. You're going to use things called strip, very important. You're going to work around this because from what you'll be doing, you'll be working around lots of file paths, and you need join, split, strip, basic way of cleaning, data. And also too, you're going to be learning on your own. I'm going to send you just understand regex expression, how to use them, regex, or some of you call it regex. When you understand that, you could actually Google a lot of regex expression, when you're dealing with complicated, data structure. But for now, just understand how this works. So I'm going to show you an example of how we can actually use the split and strip for just one singular data. So for example, I have a variable called x, and I call it Bamidele Okafor Jane. Oh, come on, Jane. Okafor, let me look for the name. Okafor, is Jane in this class? Okay, I found someone. Okafor Mene. Mene is because you haven't installed your stuff. When you install it, I'll change the name. So, and the problem is, someone says, we only want Bamidele Okafor. Are you getting me? How do we get that information? So all I have to do is basically say x.split. Why not me split? And what do I split by? Split by minus. And if I print this guy, what happens? It breaks down Bamidele Okafor. So I can decide to choose the one I want. I can decide to choose this one as an object in the array, or this one. And now we're going to learn positioning, but we're going to learn that as we go further. So if I decide to choose 0, which is basically, I'm going to show you how Python stores values inside the list. Okay, Folashade, you have a question, please ask your question. So you print please ask your question. Fola, we're waiting for you. You're the one we're waiting for now.
Oh, good evening. Sorry, I'm trying to unmute myself. Yeah, good evening. I just saw this link on my mail that I should join. I just want to be sure. According to what I saw in the mail, I was told is 20 of September should be for the onboarding sections. Are we doing onboarding right now?
Okay, I think someone should answer that question, not me. Who is answering the question? Can someone help her out?
All right. Folashade, it was stated that your onboarding session is by 7:30 p.m. and then the main class is by 8 p.m. So please kindly go through your email very well and understand.
Oh, okay. All right,
So
thank you.
currently we are in the
So
class.
sorry. Okay, so the second question I want to ask is based on the code that we have here, sir. The one that you have the boolean and the string as an output. So I just want to be yeah, like when you say D is equal to true, normally the D is the boolean, and then the B should be the string. That means print. I mean, yeah, take it as a literal evaluate it literally. So I'm thinking that the B should be the those things, the string, and the D should be boolean. So when you say print type D, so the type D there should be boolean. Boolean should be the first output followed by the string. I don't know why they're having that.
Okay, can someone answer her question? Someone who basically, can someone answer the question? Someone should help me out here. I'm going to mention names if nobody is, just to see if everybody.
We didn't really get the question actually.
Falashada, you've missed a lot of the class, so it's I don't know how to actually explain to you because the question you're asking, it's. You guys should give me 1 minute. So what's this guy saying?
Sorry. Yeah, so I understand because I think I should revoke the link now, so people that are unable to join earlier from the beginning won't be maybe having issues understanding it. So one thing I would advise, you can go ahead with the session. Then Folashade can go through the recording of the session at the end of the day.
But do everybody understand why we're using literal eval? If you have here on the
I
chat.
understand. Sorry, please. I understand why we have the literal eval. Like you said, literal eval means as you see the command, just print it out like that. Normally, true, having a quotation mark should be your string, right? Then a help. But then, according to our data type, the true and false, they are the boolean. We already know that true and false are boolean. So what I'm saying is that Python should have printed this thing out accordingly. Like when you say print type D, that type D there, like true, which is not literal, there should be boolean. That should be the first
Okay,
output.
so
Then our B.
Okay, you're wrong about that. I didn't just want to point that out to you, but just so okay, I'll just explain that simply for you, Falashade. So this is what we call a boolean. A boolean is not stored inside a string. So if I say y is equal to true, it changes to green. So this is called a boolean. So you could see the color changes. This is what we call a boolean. If you put a boolean inside a string, it becomes a string. If I remove it, it's a boolean. So when you say Python is just a programming language, garbage in, garbage out. So it's giving you what you give to it. So if it's here, that means it's correct. So if I come here to say print type y, Python tells you this is a boolean because you could see. But if I come here and do z and I say true, Python changes and tells you, okay, this is now, and I say type z, Python tells you automatically this is a string. Is that clear?
Yeah, I understand now. I'm sorry for the confusion.
No, it's okay. It's good to ask questions. So there's nothing that is. 1 minute. Let me just open my door. Okay, hey guys, sorry, I didn't take long. Someone was on my door, so I had to go and open it. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, we can hear you.
Okay. So back to where we stopped. So you could see with splits, we're looking at like cool methods that can actually help us, understand. So you could see with splits, we're able to split it into an array, first of all, and based on the index, we're able to. So this will be very handy when we start using for loops. Now I can split also by space. I can split by anything. You could see what happens, Okafor and Mene, because it's splitting by space. Originally, because it Bamidele by the space. I can try to split by a particular number. I can say split by E. So anywhere you see E, split, what happens? So you could see Bami D is split by E. L is split by E. You see, it keeps the space. So it depends on what you want to split by. So this will help you when you're dealing with parts, because most times you store parts with underscore. So you can actually split by underscore. So simple logic. It makes sense. It works all the time. So really cool stuff. Now, also too, there's something we call strip. Strip helps you remove white spaces, because if I come here and do print and I do strip, I do x.strip, and it's fine. Careful with the door. Kevin, it's outside, yeah. Okay. So if I do x and I strip, what happens here? You could see something I want to show you guys. Let me just show you guys something pretty much. So let me save this guy as K, and let me split underscore dash, and I want to save this guy as Z. And just imagine what happens here. I print this first one. I want to check out the data type. Very important, something you need to know. So if I put the type here and I put K, you could see the first one tells me that each time I use split, what happens? It converts it back, it converts it to a list. A list is what we call an array. We're going to look at the data type called list, so don't worry about that. Now, but if I use strip to remove white spaces, I'm going to explain what I mean by removing of white spaces so you understand better. So if I do strip, I print Z, what happens here? You could see, and I say type of Z. Type of Z, what happens here? You could see it's still in string. So for strip keeps it still in string, while split keeps it in array. Now I know the question you're going to ask. You say I know you're going to tell me I said that it removes white space. Why is this white space here? Now this white space doesn't count because it's still part of the data. So if I put a white space here, are you getting me? I put a white space here, and basically, and I come down here and I print Z. So pretty much what happens is, because of the strip, it removes the white space. So there's no white space here automatically. So what happens is, I know you cannot see it here, but just know it removes it. Trust me, it does. Don't even trust me. You can read the documents later. So it's going to help you, especially when you're dealing with, there's something called tokenization in data science, where basically you want to reduce the amount of white space, and you want to convert words to tokens so that you could actually use them either to cluster, or you want to convert them to embeddings, or you want to store them in database, whatever you want to do with them, that would help you a lot. So it will help you. Sometimes you can strip and split. So you want to remove white space before you split. So that can still work. So I could come down and say, okay, I want to strip. So if I come here and do x.split, let me do split by dash. Remember, the white space is still there. And I run this guy. What happens? You could see the white space is here. But if I say no, I want to strip first, and then I want to split. What happens? You see, white space is out. So I remove the white space, then I split the value. So that's how strip. This guy would help you. It looks simple, but it's going to help you. Any question? Do you have questions to ask? I'm waiting for your question. Any question before I move further? Any question? Okay, yeah. Samuel, I can hear your question.
All right, sir. It's just around the spacing being counter, like the tokenization that you made mention. So I just want to, because there's something I'm actually working on, and it has to do with tokenization, but I never take into consideration that space might be taken up, might be counted as a token.
Yeah.
So, okay. So, no problem. Thank you.
So when we
just
say counter, when we say counter a token, okay, so most of the reason why we tokenize basically is so that we can actually process data faster. You know, when you store space in memory, what happens? You know, it takes a lot of compute time for you to process, you know, each of those. So when you strip and remove the space, it's really easier for you to just go through, you know, it's just for compute, you know, but it's a healthy habit. So that's why it's part of data cleaning for NLP. So you have to basically split, strip, you know, remove what you don't need, you know, create a dictionary of what you don't want and pull them out. Just walk around only the words you need. Then, you know, you could actually use it for whatever you want to use it for. So it's actually really good. So I don't know if that makes sense to you.
Yes, sir. But I just want to, like, in the case of maybe I'm sending a prompt to an LLM.
Yeah.
And so how do I account for this space? Like, not accounting for it to be precise, but how do I take care of? But like this very one, it's easier for me to say strip, and the space will be removed. You know, now when it comes to prompting. So how do I deal with the spacing and that will actually reduce my tokens?
So when you say prompting, I need to understand two types of prompt. Are you sending a prompt via an API or you're prompting via an interface of, you know, an LLM?
Through an API.
An API.
Making an API call.
That's the point. So you have to basically just strip and clean first before you could actually send the prompt. So that way it's even more easier for you. It costs you less. So for you to make API calls, okay. So I need to understand. So give me a framework on how you make API calls with LLMs. For me, if I want to do it, what I do is basically clean whatever. Let's say I'm trying to cluster data from PDF files, and I pull out the pages I want to use, so that I could use those pages to learn about the PDF file, so that I can actually cluster those PDF files for me. What I do is, you know, I spend a lot of time, you know, tokenizing and cleaning what I want to clean before I start embedding. You know, that way I don't embed bullshit. The things I don't want, it doesn't convert to embedding. I can use that for clustering, or I could just use the keywords I've created, and I can tell it based on these keywords, you know, based on these words that you get, I'm getting from this PDF files, you know, write me, or basically just cluster the tokens. And when it clusters them for me based on how I've arranged them in my data frame, I could actually point it back to the PDF files and say, okay, this class of PDF files belong together, or this class of PDF files. So you have to have a problem statement before you. So prompting, I can use it for different. So if you have a problem statement, then we can actually start tackling it from there. Do you have a problem statement that you want us to see how we could actually use it?
Yes, yes. This is my own use case. So I have a PDF document. So at some point I have to convert it to an image. So what I'm trying to basically do with that image is extracting those information and storing it as a JSON. So I'm sending that file to an LLM. Yes. So then I'm sending in prompts to help me return the JSON.
Okay, you don't even need to, if you have something like that, you don't even have to, you don't even have to. So what I would do in that case, have you heard about VLR, where, you know, the LLM can actually, you know, read images? So what you do is you convert each of the pages of those PDF files to images, and you send those images of those PDF files, you know, to the LLM. So it sees the page, you know, convert the text in those pages into, depending on what you're looking for, into JSON or whatever, how you want to extract it. So let's say you have a table stored inside, you know, a page. You have a table stored inside a page in a PDF. So all you have to do is basically convert those, track the pages, track all the pages you want that has the image of the table, then convert those images to page objects. What we call page objects, you know, it's an image of that page. Then write, you know, just call your LLM, you know, and your LLM will call your LLM to track those pages, maybe in PDF, in PNG or what's it called, or JPEG. What happens is it picks that page and converts the content of that table in that page to JSON. So it sees the page itself. That way you don't make mistake, from extracting the content of that page. So that's a more effective way to do it. So instead of trying to, you can't apply tokenization in that process.
All right, so it's clear, sir. Thank you, sir.
Okay. So the next step here is what I'm going to do is so we're going to just go further a little bit, and we've looked at the key things, some of the key things. We have join, we have split, and we have strip. So how do we use join? So now this is a tricky one. So I'm going to come down here and say let's call this guy T. T is equal to J favor, right? And or let's say T is equal to 18 underscore. Let's say. Now, let's say this is a pressure value, a pressure value stored inside a variable, and you want to convert this underscore to dot. So you don't want it to be underscore because, you can't calculate underscore. This is 1890.50, a pressure value stored inside, let me call it pressure, P. And how do you do it? The first thing first is you're going to do P.split. And if I split this information by underscore, what happens here? I get this. Now, but because I've done this now, how am I going to put both of them together? So I use join. So I say join both of them for me. But I'm going to see, how do I join them? I'll do it like this. Dot join, and I put them inside of this guy. So, and what happens here is I can call this result. So you can break this down in simple ways, and it converts it back to a string. So if you print res, what happens? It gives you back 18.50. So this small thing to help you when iterating through lots of columns. You could just write a function that could handle a column when you're dealing with something like this. So this is a very good use case, especially when dealing with something like this. And now I can actually convert this to an integer or a float if I want to deal with it. You could break this down so that it's easier for you. So the first thing first for newbies, you can say, let's say P, let's say temperature is equal to 54.89 Fahrenheit. And what I want to do is let me do C is equal to, first of all, split it, T.split. And when I do that, what happens? I'm splitting by what? Underscore. And if I do this and I print C, what happens here? I have this guy, and what happens here? T.split underscore. I have to put this inside because it's a string, and that's it. So the next thing I'm going to do here, I can say, okay, result here, and I can call this, and I can say, okay, I'm calling this guy. I can do something like this, dot join. So this can be anything. It can be X, it can be anything. It depends on what you want to use. So dot join, and what am I joining with? I'm joining with C, which I've defined here. And I just print, res. That's it. So this gives me 58.9. So this is a good use case of join, and you're going to see how this is going to help us. Why I'm picking this example specifically? Because of the kind of project, we're going to be working on. The last time we had lots of issues understanding, file structures, extracting, just basic metadata from file paths. It was a problem for most of us. So this is going to be helpful so that when I start showing you how we iterate through this process, it's easier for us to look at it. So I'm not going to go into complex details today. I'm just going to pick a simple example, and we're going to show you how it works. So one of the examples I'm going to pick in is going to be from the core photos. I'm going to pick a particular file path, and we're going to see how we can actually use one of the examples we've created today. So that way we're building on the examples we've created. So in one of these classes, I think we created we had we had a folder. I think this was the folder. I'll just pick a simple example so that, we walk through those examples. So we created a folder. Don't worry, if you're not here in the class, it's not a problem. So import OS. Now I'm going to talk about this guy OS. So in our last class, we talked about communicating with the operating system. We talked about communicating with the operating system, which was really important because if you can't speak to your operating system, you can't access files. You can actually understand the file path from the operating system. And one way to do that in Python using, the OS model. So immediately you press import OS. It has cool functions like one, which is something you're going to learn, list directory, which is my favorite. It can actually help you delete files. It can actually help you copy files. We could use Shortil to copy files and delete files if you want. But for me, I play safe. I'll actually just use it to actually see the content of my directory. That's all I want to use it for. Now, in one of those stuff, we had images. This was the image part. We call the data part. And if I use OS and I do print the data part, I'll just take a simple example so that when you're studying it, it's easier for you. And this is the data part automatically. So our file is stored in core images, and core images is stored in desktop, and desktop is stored in admin and stored in your users. In yours, it will be different because your data part will be different from mine. If you're using a Windows, you're going to see something like C or /desktop or downloads, whatever it is, and you track the file. So for me, if I come down here to see the content of that file and I do print, and I tell it to see the content of the file, and what do I do? Remember list directory, which is a method. And I print list directory. What am I listing? I'm listing the data part. Remember, we talked about a couple of things today. We talked about variables. What's a variable? A variable stores a data type. You could see this part, it stores the data. And you're going to ask me, why is there arrow in front of it? Now, this is a very good question. Now, why do I use arrow in front of it? Now, it's simple. Now, because you're running this code, you'll be running this code on different machines. Let's an assumption. You run it on different machine, and most file paths are written differently. Some of them /, most of them /, most of them /. If you use arrow standardizes, the file path system. So you don't have to start changing the slashes. So by just putting arrow in front of it, what happens? Python takes care of, the path, no matter how you put it. So Python just handles and standardize it. So here, I'm going to do list directory. If I did this correctly, I print this guy here, and hopefully this guy works. Data path. Did I spell something? List. Did I spell list properly? Let me check. Sorry, I didn't call it. So I didn't call it. Remember, it's a function that's inside OS. So I just have to do os.list directory. Sorry. It's inside a module called OS. So what happens here? And I call data path. Don't worry about this. It's just one example we're going to pick out. We're not trying to solve a problem. So you could see inside of this place, you could see we're having different information here. You could see if I print this guy, you could see inside that file path, this is what we're having. Can you see? Inside this file path, if I open that file path on my machine, I'm going to see folders called mid-Norway public call descriptions, blah, blah, blah images, blah, blah, blah images. We're going to see all this information. Now, not so that I don't confuse you some more, I'm going to go straight to the point. I'm going to come down here. I'm going to say use data. In our next class, when we start looking at for loops, I will explain properly. I pick this guy and I put it here. And instead of doing this, I put this guy here and I choose one of these guys because it's a folder. Sorry. Because it's a folder. And by copying this brother, and I put this brother here. And what do I do here? I print os.list directory. And what am I putting here? And I do use data. Now, if I print this guy, what happens? It's going to give me all, you could see all the images. Can you see all the images? Can you see all the images, all the images, all the images? Can you see what's happening here? Now, these are all the image name inside the data. Can you see the image name? Yeah, Samuel, ask a question.
Yeah, so I saw that you did something and it's looking as if it's the same output. So you did print. No, you first of all did os.list
Directory.
directory.
Yeah.
And it gave you the same output. Then you it gave you the same output in vertical, like a list.
Yeah, which is this, yeah?
And now you did, but now you did print. So what's the difference between those two?
Good. Okay, so notice the first one. Look at the file part I used. It was just looking at a folder, one folder. Are you getting me? Now, inside of this folder, this is what is stored inside of this folder. Are you getting me? Now, what I did was I said, okay, take this folder, which is what I did. Now, I want to put this folder inside of that folder so that it looks at, just like this last one is stored inside of this one. This one is stored here, this one is stored here, and this one is stored here. So now I'm looking at another folder inside of this folder. That's why I'm getting a different value. Remember how you store something inside your machine? You open a folder, create a folder inside and store stuff. So from the original data which will be shared to you, you notice that we have images stored inside this well images. You could see we have different folders here. These are well names that has lots of images inside. You're going to see them, So you could see the output will be different. If I take this information here and replace it with this one, what happens here is going to give me different sets of image names. Can you see what's happening here? Is that clear? Mr. Samuel, is that clear?
Yeah, it's clear. So I think, yeah. So because what you're doing here is to you're trying to read what's inside or print out what's inside the folder. So my question specifically is, before you did the print command, you only did os.list directory and the data part, and then you brought out this same output.
Which output? Which one?
Where hand is. You brought out this output, but they were in a vertical way.
Okay. So all I have to do is just remove the print. It's Jupyter. It's called linting operation. Yeah, it's still the same thing.
So what's the difference?
It's not. There's no difference. So if I do type here, it's still a list. So it doesn't matter how you want to view it. It depends on you. It's still a list. Now let me just explain what the difference is, like, just for our sanity. So before now, when we want to run Python codes, we go to the terminal to run it. So we have to print. We have to always use print as a login tool, like print logs the output. Are you getting me? But for Jupyter notebooks, especially the one we're using, which is, I don't have to put print for me to see the answer. So by just running this guy, what happens? It pulls the information like this, and it's clean, but subconsciously, because I'm used to writing print in front of it, what happens? I just write print. And why I write print is because, if I come here, I pick, let's say I want to do, let's say print type, hello. I want to do two things at the same time. I remove the print. Jupyter Notebook only looks at the last one. It doesn't look at both of them. So you only print the last one. Are you getting me? But if I put print here and I put prints here, what happens? You could look at both of them and just pull out the result. Can you see? Now this one, it pulls out the result. So for print, it's just a subconscious thing. If you've written a lot of code in JavaScript, we use console.log, to log output, so it's just subconsciously. So even if I'm using Jupyter Notebook, I still want to write print to see my output, and also because I know I can print out multiple outputs from the same line. Is that clear?
Yeah. Is it different from read? I think I've seen a command called that.
No. You can't read. You can't use read as an output. You can use read as an Python doesn't use read as an output command. So it's I don't know where you saw that command. So Python doesn't use read as an output. Maybe Bash uses read somewhere. I don't know about that, but Python doesn't use read as a command. Even to open the file, Python uses open. So it doesn't use read as a command. But we have, for most, if you're storing your config files, we have something called README, which is basically where you describe, the document, you describe, your code you have written. So but there's a README file, but there's nothing like read as a command. Is this clear? So you don't say this outside, that read. Is this clear?
Yeah, it's clear. Actually, it was that read me, not
Okay.
read.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Pandas do not use read also. Someone say probably pandas. Pandas do not. Pandas uses, yeah, you're right. Pandas uses pd to read Excel or read CSV. Read CSV, not as an output command, but basically to collect file. For you to read the file, you still have to call the file, like after storing it in the data frame. So even if I call this df, so it doesn't use read, rather use read Excel, read CSV. So for you to call this file, you still have to call the command df. So we're going to get to that part, so don't worry about it. So but for output, Python uses print. So yeah, back to it. So yeah, now you could see how we're able to read this file out. And from these well logs, from this call logs, from this call photos, what happened is you could see that you have the well name, you have the depth, the top of the core photo and the bottom of the core photo. You could see all splitted by underscore. Are you getting me? So you could see where split and strip comes in. Here, it's easier for me to just pick one of them and just split it. So let's say I'm picking just one of them. I want to just read just one of them. Notice I'm not using for loops. I'm not using anything. I'm just using we're just trying to just understand. Let's call this core data. Let's say single core data. I just want to pick one. Are you getting me? So let me pick this one. It's a JPEG file. I just want to get only the depth top and the depth bottom. When we start using for loops, because I'm feeling sick. And what happens here? It's now I'm not using os.list directly now, because now why won't I use os.list directly? Because now I'm dealing with a file. This is a file entirely. Are you getting me? Not a file path. You know the difference between a file and a file path. The ending of a file, if you put all the paths together, that's the file itself. Now, but if you're still working through folders, you're dealing with file paths. So for this one, I'm not going to use core data. I'm not going to use OS directly. So if I print this one, you could see this is, the file path. Now for me to actually get, so if I want to get only this information, all I have to do is do split, and that's it. And the first split I'll split with is slash. It splits with slash first, and I'm happy. Now, but I'm only interested in this last one. Just for the record, we've not started indexing, so don't worry about it. I'll just use it. So to get the last one, I use -1. So it picks only the last one for me, which is this one. But I only want only these two values, this one and this one. So what do? I do the split. And what do? And I split by what? What am I splitting by? Splitting by underscore. Right? So the next thing I'm going to do is, by splitting by underscore, what do I get? I only want this value and this value. So what do I get here? I'll start by, forget about this one, what I'm doing now, -2. Sorry. So -2 gives me only this. I'll explain indexing in like our class, where we basically track the position of values. Now, instead of this index, you could see I have these two values. Yeah. So I can decide to say, okay, but for this one, I can decide to pick the first one here, 0. I can say for everything I've done, just give me only the first one here, 0. And that's it. It gives me this one. I'm happy. Now I want to repeat the same operation for the second one, just to get the second value. And I put -1 here. But I'm still having .jpeg that I have to split. I have to split by dot. So I'm just showing you from an extreme use case. I will explain that. So here's dot, this second one has been splitted, but I want only this first value. So I pick only the first one, 0. So from an extreme use case, you could see I have these 2 values, which I can store. I can decide to store them. When I use append, I can append values. Append is another keyword for strings. So I forgot to add append. We're going to use append. So you can see now I have the 2 values I needed in the data, like the 2 values. These are depth values, which I need. Now, this is just an extreme case. In reality, you won't do this. You use for loop to iterate through all the file paths and basically apply this logic, maybe as a function or just basically as a logic embedded in your for loop that could actually just split all the file itself and collect the depth values that you need. So this is the basic, this is an introduction class just to show you. So at the end of the day, what I want you to really know is basically understand what the data type is. Understand, we looked at one of the important data types, which is strings. And what we did here was basically understand how strings can be used. And we looked at things like split strip. One thing I didn't emphasize on is indexing. I'm going to explain that in our next class. Indexing, which is very good. It's going to be an important concept you're going to use. So all this thing I'm using 0 and 1, you're going to understand positional indexing, how values are being stored in an array or how values are being stored in a string, how computer interpret those values. So I'll stop here so that I don't bombard you with lots of information. All you have to do for me is just, today I'm not going to give you assignment because it's your first class. Just tell the admin of the class to give you access to the files, so that you can get the files, download the files, and just keep it in your system. That's all. If you could actually find a way to download Postgres, that's fine. So questions, and I'll answer them. Someone is asking me, the file names, how did you get them? File names, because the files are stored in my machine. We downloaded the files before this session. We're going to do that again, but I think someone within this class, someone can give you access to the files. So we already have it. So I give them access to the file path where we have reservoir data being stored. So they got all those core information. I think we use that to handle like lots of, we're just trying to look at it through images. So we're just looking at it. So we're just trying to put images in data frame and extract certain data. So at the end of this class, things you're going to know how to do. If you don't know how to do this, just know you know attend the class. Just walk around simple data processing for core logs, for core images. This one includes a couple of things. Handle metadata, resizing images, and storing images in file locations and databases automatically. Using UIs to visualize data stored in databases. So what kind of data? Core logs, core photos, sorry. So if you can't do this at the end of the day, it simply means, you haven't learned anything. Are you getting me? So as much as possible, you need to learn how to handle metadata. Metadata simply means it can be depth values stored inside, certain file path attached to certain images, how you walk around it, Some images can be really big. How do you write codes to resize those images? So you're going to learn things like OpenTV and Peel. Peel is pillow, basically. So how do you store those images if resized? If you have 10,000, 1,000, 3,000 images automatically, it simply means how do you shortcode to push those images from one part to another. 3, how do I store the metadata inside the database and connect them to the file location? And how do I use UI to view, the core photos stored, horizontally, within the subsurface? So if you can't do this at the end of the 4 weeks, it simply means you didn't attend the class, and it's totally a waste of time because, we're basically restarting the whole process again so you could actually understand it. Notice how the examples I'm using are quite simple examples so that you can actually go back to look at it. So I could only do 20% of the work, and I'm sure you do, the 80% of the work. Any questions?
Yes, sir. Good evening. Well done, sir.
Please ask a question. I'm listening.
So I have a question.
Yeah.
I've downloaded the VS Code and the Python.
So
I'm trying to create a work environment.
Okay. Did you raise up your hand when I said if you have Python installed?
I was one of the people who are asked to install Python, so I just did this night.
Okay. So I'm gonna assign you to someone. Samuel, are you here?
Yes,
Samuel.
I'm here.
Yeah. Can you
I'm here.
Okay. Okay, is it Samuel? I think Samuel, I think I'm seeing you for the first time. There's a guy. Yeah, Samuel.
Yes.
Ogundele Samuel. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So I'm assigning you to this girl. Just make sure she sets her visual environment. Just show her step by step how to do it.
Okay, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, sir.
At the end of the please, if he doesn't do it for you, report him to me.
Okay, sir.
No problem.
Okay. Any questions? Any other question from anybody? Do you guys need access? Do you need the notebook that will help you? Do you think it's important? Or you can watch the video later, yeah? Okay, I don't want to say anything. Okay. I'll leave you guys now.
I think we can watch the video later and create our own notebook. I think that would be more
better,
helpful. Yes.
Okay. You guys have a nice day. Thank you very much, and God bless you. Bye.
All right, everyone. Welcome once again, and I hope all of us enjoy the class. So just like our mentor have said, I'll also advise that if you are finding any confusion, any misunderstanding, you can reach out to one of us. And I think Samuel, Samuel is actually one of the past mentees. So you can always reach out to him, and also keep the WhatsApp group active. So if there's any confusion, you can either ask in the group, or you can even go there to our mentor. He's also in the WhatsApp group, so you can always reach out to him and ask him your question, or also reach out to Samuel, or you can even drop it in the group chat. And always make sure that after each session, after each class, that you go back to the YouTube channel and rewatch the video. It's going to help you a lot in case if there is any gap with your own knowledge. So it's going to help us a lot. So I believe with this, we can be able to get to the end of this mentorship program, and we all will come out successfully with a good, let's say, successful. That's the word. So have a good night and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
All right, Mary, I just want to chip this one hint. So I think it's better if there's any challenge, maybe it's better to drop it in the group so that every other person can look at it, and if it is being solved, we can actually learn from it also.
All right, that's perfect. That's why I gave 3 options. You can either drop it in the group or get to you. The person talking now, that's the Samuel. or you can also reach out to our mentor. But please make sure that you are following up. Make sure that there is no confusion. Maybe there is nothing that is making you to lag behind or stay at the back of every other person. Make sure that you are at the same stage, at the same pace with everybody. So Lecture Hub is open to take care of your worries or take care of your problem. Do not keep mute, just like our moderator, like our head moderator say, don't keep mute when things are making you to stay back or maybe bothering you or maybe affecting the effectiveness of your mentorship class. That's all. You all can have a good night rest. Thank you.
All right. Sorry, I don't know the person that was the lady that spoke earlier. Maybe I don't know how the person can reach out to me through WhatsApp.
Said on WhatsApp group.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Thank you.